True Vine Talks with Rachel and Caitlin and our honored guest, Miss Caylin.
Thank you.
Caylin France. So Miss Caylin, tell us about you.
I am Caylin France, and thank you all for having me. It's such an honor when you asked me to be a guest on the podcast. I was so excited because I love listening to the podcast. And I love being able to talk about mental health and also learn more about mental health because I am currently working on my master's and I'm getting close to being done with my master's degree. So anything I can do to help in that field, I really enjoy that. Do you want me to start off by telling you about my position that I'm currently in?
Of course, if you want to.
Okay, so I recently in August switched jobs and I kind of got my dream job. So I'm super excited about that. And I love the position I'm currently in. I am a student success specialist. It's a tongue twister with student support services at Marshall University. So what student support services is, it's actually one of the TRIO programs. And we serve around 200 students in our program, and it is low income or first generation students. That is our population that we serve. So we do a wide variety of things in the program. There's not one specific job or role we have. We do a lot. So our main focus is obviously retention and to get these first generation students to graduate college and be the first in their family to graduate. So they come to our program and we assist in academics. So academic advising, helping them with their schedules, the classes they need to take. So anywhere from the academic advising part of things to being on campus to helping with their FAFSA, any resources that they need on campus, getting books, if they're struggling with that, just connecting them with all those resources they need. We do a lot of referrals to Voc Rehab, which helps students with disabilities and things like that. And then we also do mental health. If we have students come in distress and they need that mental health counseling and things like that. So we also have like activities, sometimes after hours and things like that, such as we've had board game nights and just different activities. We really create a little family for these students who, some of them, this is all that they have once they get here.
So important for them to have this like support network. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm muted. The dogs in the background are barking. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Caylin and I have been friends for many, many years, and we were actually in this program together in college. I was first generation, didn't really know what I was doing, and they really helped me tremendously. And actually, I would say that experience and that support that I got from Bonnie Bailey, who is now over student support services, the director there, Caylins boss. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to become a counselor, just because she helped me so much and supported me, and I wanted to be able to do that for other people.
Yeah, Caitlin and I were in the program together, and then we also did work study together. So we were both students in this program, and before I was a student in student support services, there's actually one of the other TRIO programs is Upward Bound, and that is for high school students. So I actually got involved in TRIO programs in high school, and in the summers I was taking classes on campus here at Marshall, getting familiar with campus and everything like that. And I can honestly say if it wasn't for TRIO programs, I very seriously doubt that I would have ever graduated college.
Oh, so what do the trio programs kind of help you with when you're there?
Everything. You can literally come in this office a crying mess and have no idea what to do, where to go, who to ask for anything. And they will make sure that you are taken care of, no matter the issue. If they don't know how to solve it, they will find someone on campus who does.
Nice. I'm gonna let Rachel ask the next question, or one of them.
Sure, yeah, I'll ask. So would you say that it was like your experience in these programs and having a safe place to go and ask questions and get support that also inspired you to go into the counseling field, or was it something else?
Oh, absolutely. That definitely played a huge role. And I always knew that I wanted to help people. And I really like working with high school age, college age students. And in my previous position as a financial aid counselor here on campus, so I've been on campus for years, I was able to help students and at the college level. But then I wanted to also be able to do more and help them more with mental health as well. Like I wanted to be able to incorporate mental health, and it's such a need on campus. So this position allows me to not only help them academically, life in general, but also with their mental health. So this job allows me to do all the things that I love.
Have you always had, how counselors were all kind of empaths, and
Oh, yeah.
have you always had those qualities, Caylin?
Yes, I would say definitely yes. And I think that everybody who knows me would probably also agree that even at a very young age, I was very empathetic to everyone.
And that sort of, is that kind of what inspired you to move into this?
Yeah, I just felt like it was my calling. Like,
Oh,
I felt like that was my calling. And, if you're called to do something and then you're already an empath and you care so much about people, I just feel like you're just led in what you're supposed to do.
can you tell our listeners what an empath is versus not? I think people don't always know that definition. Do you all think so?
It could be new for some people, sure.
Yeah. So I'm sure that you can, people are going to have different explanations of what an empath is to them or how they feel as an empath. I definitely feel as an empath, you have to be able to, even though you may not be the one experiencing something, you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes and not just think, oh, they must feel like this. You actually need to get in the mindset and be able to feel those emotions that they are feeling, if that makes sense.
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
Who's that character on Guardians of the Galaxy that she has the antennas? What's her name? Caitlin, you know. No.
I can't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, she always feels what her friends are feeling. She just,
Mhm.
and she'll start to, like, if sad is happening for someone else, she just automatically cries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
And that is true. That explains an empath.
Yeah,
That's
it is
good.
power.
What, Caitlin?
It is a superpower, I think, sometimes, but we have to also learn how to turn it off at times when we're in the helping profession. But not everybody has the ability to have this empathy and understand how others feel quickly.
I find it very helpful, especially working with clients that are learning how to name their emotions. They're very detached from their emotions and they struggle. They'll be describing something to you. And like, as an empath, I'll start feeling, right. And I'll be like, I'll describe that to them. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I feel like this pit in my stomach right now and this heaviness in my chest. And I kind of just want to cry. And they're like, yeah, that's what it's like. And I'm like, oh, what an awful feeling. Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, when they work with an empath or with a therapist who's very empathetic, um, it's like the first time they've ever felt seen.
Mm,
And that was definitely
yeah.
my experience thinking back to those many years ago as a 18-year-old kid in college who had a lot of trauma, um, working with a counselor um, who was in this role, kind of like a school counselor for college kids. Um, just being seen for the first time and acknowledged and, you know, not told to rub dirt on it and go on, but told, oh, okay, so you've went through some stuff. Let's actually like process that and see how we can deal with that and get better instead of just stuffing it down and keeping going.
Well stated.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well stated. I love, and Rachel does an amazing job of tuning to her clients, and they always are so appreciative of the, just what's happening in your body. And Caitlin has that soothing voice, and Caylin has this wonderful presence, and she's just, I think you just attract people, Caylin, to your office. I'm sure they're like, students are like, hey, can I just talk?
Sometimes they come in just to hang out. They're like, can I just sit in here and eat my lunch? And I'm like,
Aw.
sure.
That means you're a safe person, a safe place for them.
Yep.
That's
And
so important.
that's another huge part of the program is, this office is their safe place. Um, this is where they can come, and we all three of us have like our own office, but then in general we have like a lobby that has couches, a TV, and then we have 2 computer labs that have the computers and everything like that. So not only do they get to come in here and talk to us and have their regular meetings with us and everything like that, it's also a lounge for them to come and hang out. So in between classes, or if they just need a break, they're, having issues with their roommate or just anything like that, they can come in here and, relax and, just feel comfortable. We have a coffee bar set up for them. We have a
So
refrigerator in
nice.
here that they can, if they pack their lunch, the ones who commute to campus and don't live on campus, they can put their lunch in here. And then a lot of them, they will go to our computer labs and do their homework because, it's quiet in there. They can focus. They can bring their study groups in here with them. And there's a big whiteboard. There's, anything that they need. We have school supplies in here for them as well. So this is just, and they can print all of their stuff in here. So they really utilize, the lab and the lounge and just the whole office in general, really.
We need a lounge. That's awesome.
Yes,
That's
they
great.
love it.
Yes, so many resources.
The TV has Netflix. I mean, they'll just be sitting out here watching Netflix some days,
Awesome. Yeah. So what is this journey that you've been on working with high school students and college students kind of taught you about the specific needs of this age group?
Okay, it has definitely taught me a lot. And I mentioned that I was a student in the Upward Bound program. Well, after I was a student and I came to college and I was in SSS, I actually was an advisor and then the head advisor of the Upward Bound program as well.
Nice.
So I went back and was the head advisor of that program. So I was in charge of the high school students that I once was and everything like that. So I took on that role. And I always say that that job taught me more than anything in life, more than any textbook ever could, more than anything like that. That job and that role. And it really opened my eyes to how vulnerable high school students can be and how much they need guidance at that age.
So much.
So much guidance. So I think that's really what led me to want to work with that age group and then, the college age group, because I feel like that's the age where they really need that guidance, especially, if they're in high school, getting them prepared for college, especially if neither one of their parents went to college and they don't know anything about that. They need somebody there that's going to be able to teach them, help them, and guide them along that path.
I keep getting just the image of a compass as you're talking about, like, right? Like someone, what direction do I go? Help me.
Yep. And that's literally, they come in sometimes and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm here, but I don't know anything, And so that's where, we step in and we're their guidance.
Yeah, what stage is that, Caitlin? That stage of development between 12 and, ask Caitlin because she works a lot with youth. I forget what that stage is. The Erickson Stage. Do you all remember?
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the actual name, but when she was describing like the vulnerability of this age group, they're still kids.
Yes.
They are children and they still need help. They need guidance. They may have adult looking bodies, but they're still kids.
And some of them, I'm sure you all see this too, they have had to grow up way too fast, just because of the things they've experienced in their life. And, although they've had to grow up fast, that doesn't mean that they're ready to take on all of this by themselves.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out, who am I? What am I doing?
Yeah. Identity versus confusion. That's what we were
Thank
looking for.
you.
Yeah.
Identity versus confusion. And how many of us were confused as teenagers?
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of them will literally say, like, I don't know who I am. And I'm like, you're not supposed to. That's what this phase of your life is all about. Like, you're figuring that out.
Something that sticks out to me is I read something one time that said, kids come in straight after, not all of them, but the ones who come in straight after high school, come to college, just the month before they got here, they were having to raise their hand and ask to go use the bathroom. And then you throw them to college and you're like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life at 18 years old? You can't expect them to know all of that at such a young age.
Right. There are so many changes from high
Exactly.
school to college. I mean, they're sitting in lecture halls with 200-300 people, Yeah.
I think about like the counseling process in general. We always use this analogy where we're holding their hand and they're walking into the water and they're tiptoeing into the water, and we don't throw them out in the deep end and just leave them. And this program that Caylin is a part of, Student Support Services, and her role, it's kind of like a holistic, role for that. Like she really is holding their hand and walking them and not just throwing them and leaving, which is what some of the kids, that's what happens to them.
Yeah.
Right. That's so true, Caitlin. They feel like they're just being thrown out into the deep end of the ocean. And here are all these sharks. Now, I love Rachel's imagery, so I'm going to use a little bit of that. There's sharks, but then there's some friendly dolphins out there, but you don't know. You're just trying to figure out where you're swimming. So what it's like, Caitlin, for a lot of college kids?
Absolutely.
Some have never even been exposed to the drugs or, sex. Just being
and then you have some who have been exposed to way too much.
Yeah.
So then you've got a whole mix of, students who haven't been exposed to anything, and then students who have been exposed to way too much, and then you're meshing them all together. You know what I mean? Yeah.
How important, you all chime in because you all know I talk too much. How important is it for this age group, based on what everyone's sharing right now, to be with a counselor from the start?
Oh, very important. And I will say, so our office is in Pritchard Hall on Marshall's campus, and right down the hall from us is the counseling center on campus. And that is part of the students are able to use the counseling center for free on campus, and they always have a counselor on call for crisis and emergencies and things like that as well. So even if they don't have an appointment scheduled and they're just, needing immediately, they do have those available. So that's really nice for our students. But actually getting the information out to the students, some of them, they don't even know what counseling is, So they're going to come in here, they're distressed, they just don't know what to do, they're crying, they're a mess, but they don't know about counseling. Okay. So that is another part of our job. Yeah, we do mental health counseling, but sometimes there are some students who they need the more regular counseling. And you know what I mean? So then we can refer and help them get connected and everything like that as well. But starting off with just explaining to them about counseling, telling them about counseling, because not all of them know.
Do you all have a shortage of counselors per student on campus? Like, do you all
Do you
have
mean like in our counseling center?
right to match what the needs are?
Oh, I would say absolutely.
I would say every college and
I would
university
say
does.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I'm really curious about your opinion, Caylin, is so like this generation of college students right now is very unique because they all experienced the pandemic either at the end of their high school career or the beginning of their college career. So like during this big life transition, and they've all been taking in like social media, TikTok and everything for the majority of their life. So what kind of like mental health needs or concerns do you notice the most?
I see a lot of students with severe anxiety and depression. So that is the most common things that I see. I mean, we see a little bit of everything, but that is the most common. And a lot of students with ADHD. A lot of students with ADHD and then other learning disabilities as well. But I think that what we're trying so hard to get those students who they're so used to, how life was in the pandemic and everything being virtual and everything like that, is getting them to socialize, to actually be involved and you know what I mean? Get them out socializing and not just going from class to their dorm and staying in their dorm and not doing anything just because that's what they were so used to having to do. And then that creates, the depression. You're in your room alone and you're not doing anything and things like that.
Yeah. So they're like subconsciously self-isolating
Yes.
out of habit.
Yes. I
Yeah.
feel like that they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Or they're just so used to, I'm going to go sit on my phone or on my computer or play my game. And there's all this stuff going on out on the plaza. There's activities going on and things around campus and everything like that. But instead of they're walking right past to go to their dorm and sit on their phone or on their computer, I think that they're just in that habit. They're just in that habit still.
Yeah, we can't give these young people a hard time for doing that because we were all made to sit at home in a quarantine.
Yeah. That's why I said out of habit. Like that's what we did for 2 years of our lives. Yeah.
And like what Caylin said so well, isolation decreases serotonin in the brain. Socialization increases serotonin and dopamine.
Yep. And that's another reason that we really like to have activities in our program to get all our students together and try to get them involved, get them out of their dorm room, even if it's coming to the office, all of them gathering and playing games, board games, or things like that, eating pizza and playing board games, just something to get them out of their dorm and get them socializing with each other, because we see that they often form a lot of friendships in the program. And, that's people that they're friends with for the rest of their lives after they leave college and things like that. So that is an important aspect of our program as well, as creating that community for them and those friends and things like that.
Yeah, connection and belonging,
Mhm.
so important. When you have a support group to lean on and encourage you, feels like you can take on the world.
And then you're in, they're in the program with other students who have similar backgrounds than they do. They've been through similar situations than they have. So they can relate to them and they can form that connection because, they have a lot of similarities.
Awesome. I'll let Caitlin ask the next question if she likes.
think that's huge. Whenever you said like they just walk past, I was thinking sometimes I catch myself missing lockdown. Like
Yeah.
as has anxiety and sometimes gets overstimulated, I'm like, man, I just miss not having to interact sometimes. But I know that that's not good for my mental health to self-isolate. And I know that when I am with friends and I make myself get ready, whenever I meet my friends and go do something fun, I'm like rejuvenated for the week and I'm in a good mood. Um, so I thought that was interesting because our kids are going through that way more than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Caitlin. That's so well stated. And when you're already an empath, like the three of us, your social engagement lowers, right? But her students, they need more social engagement, whereas empaths, hypersensitive types, we may need a little less because we're on.
Mhm.
We don't always try to be on, but we're typically on. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. What
I'll
would
let,
be, oh, go ahead, Caitlin. Sorry.
I'll let you ask the next question because my questions are on the device I'm using.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. What would be, maybe 3 things that you would encourage college students to do if they are experiencing symptoms of anxiety or depression? They're struggling with their mental health.
Definitely the first thing is talk to somebody about it. Come to us, tell us what you're feeling, what's going on, and let us help you. I mean, sometimes we can gauge with our students, especially as we're getting to know them. And, we can just tell when they're off. We can tell when something is going on, we can tell. But if it's a student who they may not come in as often, we may not see them or interact with them as much, it's going to be harder for us to know if something's going on unless they actually tell us. You know what I mean? So I would definitely say go to talk to somebody, ask for help. And then like I said, we refer a lot of our students to counseling, have them, start seeing a counselor regularly. I would definitely express, self-care. You've got to be taking care of yourself. Definitely.
Yeah, self-care is really important.
And it's not always the easiest,
No.
It's not always the easiest, but it is very important.
Yeah, how do you, Caitlin, you're a busy mom, and can you share a little bit about how you incorporate with your busy schedule and your personal life Is that okay to ask? Like,
Oh yeah, that's fine. And actually it kind of goes hand in hand with one of my classes I'm taking right now, because that is part of what we're studying and talking about in our discussions and everything is, as counselors, how are we taking care of ourselves, and how are we going to maintain our own self-care while still taking care of everyone else? Because that seems to be a common issue, is you're used to taking care of everybody else. So, you kind of put yourself on the back burner. And a really good point that was brought up in class is there's been a couple really good, points. You can't pour from an empty glass. That's one. Can't pour from that empty glass. And then practice what you preach. So, or what you teach. So if we are, we're talking to our clients and we're telling them about how to take care of themselves, but we're not really doing the same thing, how effective is that going to be? So I definitely, mental health counseling myself. I think that's important for all counselors to do, is, participate in mental health counseling themselves. Everybody can benefit from counseling. And then I think it's also really important for us and others to realize that, even as counselors, we are still human. So we're not exempt from issues. We're not exempt from real life problems, just because we're counselors and we're usually the ones who are helping solve those problems for people doesn't mean that we are not going to have problems ourselves. So we still definitely have to take care of ourselves as well. And time management, I would say, is definitely something that I have became really good at. And, with having 3 kids currently and another one on the way, and then working full time, I'm taking 6 hours in graduate school. So I have a busy plate, and sometimes it is definitely a juggling act to get everything done. And I'm sure you all know that it's just, life is busy. And I think that you just really have to be self-disciplined, I would say, is another good thing. And just manage your time very well. You have to learn that time management. And then you have to stop and think, if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of anybody else.
well stated. Caylin and Caitlin, man, they got all these kids. I had one, Caitlin and Caylin, and I thought that was enough, man. I don't know. And they work and do all, and look at them, they take care of themselves. I'm just so impressed. I admire your all's fortitude and tenacity, right, Rachel? It's like, wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Caylin, thanks for, discussing how time management, right? Like setting boundaries with your time is
Yes.
self-care. I think too often people, when they hear the word self-care, they think like bath bombs and spa days, right? But it's the not fun stuff, like you were saying, like managing your time, that's really important self-care.
Even
Now-
stopping during the day to say, oh my gosh, I don't think I've had water today. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Something as simple as
Yes.
that is still, that's our self-care. Like,
yeah, it's boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Self-care can be boring, but so vital.
I think
Rachel,
you're
you
saying the right thing. Go ahead, Caitlin. Sorry.
Rachel hit the nail on the head whenever she said boundaries with your time. For me, that's self-care.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Choosing what I can say yes to and what I can't.
Exactly.
Yes. We only have so much bandwidth, it's like, yeah, our time is precious and valuable. And just like we wouldn't just, give our money away to everybody, we shouldn't give our time away to everybody either.
Very good point.
Yeah. So any other, recommendations or jewels of wisdom you want to give our listeners today, Miss Caylin?
Definitely counseling, mental health counseling, self-care, take care of yourself. And then, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are so many people willing to help and guide you and that have information that you may not have and you need. So ask for help, even though that is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, the resources are there. No,
Just got to use them.
yeah, you've just got to use them. Just hard in Appalachia
Yes.
for people to ask for help.
That is. And with my students, what I see is a lot of they fall into, well, my parents didn't do this, or my parents didn't go to counseling. My parents don't believe in counseling. My parents don't ask for help, so I shouldn't either. So kind of dealing and with that and having them overcome that as well.
Wow, that's so true. There's this I keep moving my hand because I have to unmute, but the Appalachian way is, was it Caylin who said put dirt on it and keep moving?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting to study where that comes from? Like how our culture. So, and Kaylin's right. Like when they say their parents didn't go to counseling, they're serious.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't taught mental health. What is mental health? You just grin and bear it.
And some of them, they don't want their parents to know. You know what I mean? If they are seeking mental health counseling and things like that, they do not want their parents to know about it.
So you're doing a great job of raising that awareness at Marshall, and what an amazing asset they have in you being there.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Great heart, good attitude. You're a role model to the young ones there. I mean, it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't have any more questions left for Miss Caylin, and I know we're running close to time. So anyone else have any closing thoughts for our listeners?
I think I'm good. I think this was very helpful, beneficial information. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes,
Caylin.
thank you all so much for having me. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, until Miss Caylin.
I'm just super proud of Caylin. We became friends when we were like 18, 19 years old. So we were kids, and I've got to see her grow up and grow into this person who gets to help other people. And it's so huge. Marshall couldn't have a better person in that role.
Thank you. And Caitlin and I have been together for a long time. And Caitlin has always been a huge inspiration to me. And definitely one of the reasons that I wanted to go into counseling, because before I even started the program, she was already in the program. So she was already working on her master's in counseling before I started the program. And then she took me under her wing and has guided me this whole time. Even now, I'll text her with questions about class or, a counseling topic or things like that for that guidance.
Oh, I love that bond. That's awesome.
I do too. That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. And we will look forward to getting to listen to the podcast. And we hope our listeners, gain some wisdom about the program at Marshall and how you guys help them. So
yes, thank you all so much.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.